The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ compels you. What is this, gin? How did that even work? Hello and welcome to my humble little corner of internet real estate. I'm the Sumerian, and it's that magical, wonderful time of year. My favorite holiday is approaching, Halloween.
Halloween? Did she say Halloween?
And we get to talk about one of my favorite genres, the horror and suspense genre. Now, as much credit as we have to give to the big juggernauts like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, nothing can be taken away from the indie developers. The indie developers have really done great things in the genre of horror and suspense. Amnesia, Soma, Outlast, Five Nights at Freddy's, last year's Phasmophobia, and today, Obsideo. I can only hope that the trend of innovation continues in the horror and suspense genre, with games like Phasmophobia allowing 4-player co-op for you to investigate, gather clues, use equipment, and vocalize with friends or random people to identify the ghost and get the hell out of town. Now, Phasmophobia is great because it allows you to implement voice controls.
Are you here?
Show yourself.
Use equipment.
Take a look at the equipment and prepare accordingly before starting the investigation. I've also written some notes on the one.
And coordinate your efforts with friends or random people online. But today we're going to be talking about Obsideo. Obsideo takes it one step further and it allows you to
exorcise the demons.
Now, Obsideo is essentially a 1 to 2 player co-op online psychological horror game that's piggybacking off the success of Phasmophobia. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's very similar in the sense of you're dropped in with 1 to 4 players in an online scenario. You have 1 of 3 different scenarios to choose from, and your objective is to identify what kind of ghost you're dealing with and ultimately to exorcise the ghost from the property. Being in early access, there's not too many options. There are quite a bit of graphical options. You can change your FOV and your FPS. There are not too many control options, but you can now rebind your keys, so that's a plus. You do this utilizing various tools at your disposal, from a thermometer to an EMF recorder to a spirit box which you can speak into, and the ghost will actually speak back to you. This is similar to Phasmophobia's spirit box. It's pretty much the same concept. One thing that's different about Obsideo is that you don't seem to really get a progression system. Phasmophobia, you at least get a money system, so it at least gives you a goal that you need to, get enough money to buy more equipment and such. There really isn't a progression system in Obsideo. You just kind of keep playing the scenarios. Hopefully there is a kind of progression system added, so at least you have a goal to achieve, something other than just performing the exorcism. If you're not familiar with these types of games and you haven't played Phasmophobia, then I highly suggest you play the tutorial. The tutorial will give you a rundown of all your equipment and all the items that you're going to need in order to perform a successful exorcism. They even give you a mock-up little area where you can practice performing an exorcism and utilizing all the tools that you're going to have at your disposal. Throughout the game I ran into a few bugs, not too many, but it pretty much stayed steady at 60 frames a second. The only bugs that I noticed was it was impossible to pick up items, and sometimes it was just difficult to pick up items. This apparently has been hotfixed, so that seems to not be an issue anymore. I did have a couple times where I actually performed a successful exorcism. The demon disappeared and nothing happened. And then I left and it said that it was not performed successfully. So obviously that's a bug. I don't know if that's happened to anybody else, but that's happened to me twice now. One thing to note about these games is that it is totally different when you're playing by yourself versus playing with other people. Playing by yourself, you really get a sense of the atmosphere. You get to hear every single sound. It is way more terrifying. My palms were sweaty. My heart was racing when I was playing this game. Your asshole will pucker up at a few points in this game. That's for sure. Kinda hard to get that same effect when you have people on TeamSpeak doing a bunch of crazy shit. So it is entirely a night and day experience playing this game by yourself versus playing it with other people. That's not to say it's not fun. It's still fun, and in fact, it's a lot more fun to play with other people, but I find that the atmosphere is not nearly as haunting and dramatic when you're playing with other people, obviously, because you're with other people. You're not going to be nearly as afraid. But you play this game by yourself, in the dark, at night, yeah, you're going to get scared. Unless you got, like, Tony Montana cojones, you're going to be fucking scared. Now, throughout your duration through each one of the scenarios, it'll kind of ramp up. The ghosts will start doing more and more and more things. You'll start to find more and more clues. A lot more distinguishing characteristics from each ghost. Because a lot of the ghosts have carryover into their traits that you need to use in the ghost wiki to determine what ghost it is. But some of them are very specific. Like placing pentagrams is extremely rare on some of them. Opening the doors is common on most of them. Flicking light switches is common on basically all of them. So you pretty much have to narrow it down between the really distinguishing clues that you get from each ghost. Some of the effects in this game downright scared the shit out of me. I was walking down a hallway and a painting started floating directly at my face. It scared the shit out of me. I had no idea what it was at first. I thought it was a glitch, and then it was like, holy shit, that painting's coming at me. There will be certain points at the game where the rooms will fill with cockroaches or moths or flies. This is all really, really well done, and it's pretty damn realistic looking, so it's creepy. It's creepy as hell. The audio effects are really well done. You'll hear doors creaking, lights being turned on and off, the TV will turn on, glass will be broken, you'll hear plates getting thrown against the wall, picture frames being tossed, all kinds of shit that's gonna scare you out of your wits. As of right now, you get 3 different scenarios to choose from. You get Potts Road, River Road, and Farm Lane. Each one of the houses have realistic floor plans. They're really well done. And it gives a nice ambience to each one of the scenarios. There's 2 difficulty modes, in normal mode and a hard mode. Hard mode means that you have to get everything 100%. If you miss anything or guess the wrong ghost type, you'll fail. Your journal is your source of doing everything pretty much. You're going to have your ghost clues, your exorcism steps, which ghost you have to select, and your ghost wiki. The ghost wiki will go through all the ghosts. Alright, let's go through the ghost roll call. A chimera, a mare, Yuri, Oni, Shade, Demon, Rusalka, and an effigy. If you guess one of the ghosts wrong, it'll become hyper-aggressive towards you and it'll attack you. Even more aggressively than it already does. In fact, that was one of the things that I found frustrating about this game, is that once the ghost sees you, it's virtually impossible to actually get away. Because I have found so many bugs and glitches where it's not supposed to be able to follow you around corners and into a closed room door, but I've had it happen multiple times when I have clearly broken the line of sight from the ghost, closed the door, and he still just walks right through the door and kills you. Apparently it's supposed to work that as long as you break line of sight from the ghost and you close the door and hide, he won't be able to find you, but I have not found that to be the case, so it's incredibly frustrating. The first 30 times I tried this, it was the same thing over and over again. Now, this isn't as big of a deal if you're playing with other people, because they can pick up where you left off and you're not totally screwed. Also, when you're playing with other people, it saves time carrying items, because you can only carry 2 items at a time. And you need to bring those items into the exorcism room, the ghost room, so to speak, in order to perform the exorcism. And that brings us to the next issue. As of right now, the only way that you can actually play with somebody else is if you play with somebody else that's on your Steam list and you invite them directly. There is no lobby as of right now. That's supposed to be getting fixed soon, so hopefully we'll get a lobby soon. Eventually it'll be 4 players. It's only 1 to 2 players right now, but eventually it'll be a 4-player co-op lobby, very similar to Phasmophobia's. The ghost models in the game are pretty exceptional. The Oni, the Demon, and the Chimera are my particular favorites, but each one of them is really well done. And supposedly there's going to be a lot more ghosts added to it later, so that's something to look forward to. Overall, I found the game to be extremely fun and engaging, but without a progression system, I just can't see very many people dropping the $10 to play the game when there's really nowhere to go. You perform the exorcism, and then that's it. You don't get experience points, there's no money, so there really is nowhere to go after the exorcism. If you're into horror and you're a big horror fan, then I would say that you should pick this up, because it's worth the ambience, and the ghost clues alone are truly awesome. It's one thing that this game does really well. But, like I said, unless you're a huge horror fan, then I can't really see the justification for dropping $10 on this game right now. I would wait a little bit longer until it's a little bit further along in its development, so there's a lot more options, there's a progression system, the 4-player co-op becomes available, the TeamSpeak options become more viable, etc. Overall, the game has incredible potential, and I'm excited to see where it goes. It's still in the very early stages of the early access, so there's going to be tons of patches and fixes and updates in the future, so keep an eye out. But this is definitely one to keep your eye on, because I think this game's going to get a lot better. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. If you stuck around this long, I appreciate it. Thanks for stopping by my channel, and you guys take care of yourselves.